Well, free speech is dead in Germany through a new proposed law called the Democracy Promotion Act. It's got a good name, but like most well-named bills, it's usually more terrifying than it sounds. The German government now says that they need laws to protect against anti-Semitism and extremism, so they are extremely controlling speech and threatening to arrest anyone who is critical of Israel. Now, obviously, what they say is they're trying to catch anyone who is an Islamic extremist, and they can do that if you are criticizing Israel. So this becomes a dragnet for legitimate speech in the name of anti-Semitism. This act has been in the works for more than 2 years, but now German politicians are saying we need it fast and we need it now. They're trying to push it through, given the war in Israel. This is German Interior Minister Nancy Faeser saying we need this law to protect Jewish people because everyone knows that the way to stop anti-Semitism is to make it illegal, right? When has that ever worked? It's worth noting that anti-Semitic attacks are illegal. They absolutely shouldn't be happening, but you don't need an extra law to make that illegal to graffiti people's property or assault people or threaten churches. Those behaviors already are illegal, but should the expression of any related belief be too? Now, there is an expression in Europe that when Germany breathes, the rest of Europe gets pneumonia. And as someone who is an expat living in Europe, I am extremely bothered that this kind of speech pneumonia may continue to spread throughout Europe. We already see echoes of it in France as well. And worse, again, what counts as anti-Semitism right now, we spoke about this last week with Ramzi Baroud, is that the criminalizing this belief is acting as a dragnet for legitimate concerns about the lives of Palestinian people. We found a report about a protest that happened over the weekend in Germany. Watch how protesters have to dance around the peaceful protests that they're making in order to not violate what now is illegal. Watch.
Free Palestine! Free Palestine!
It was billed as a free speech demonstration for Palestinians, but it turned out to be one of the biggest pro-Palestinian rallies in Germany since the October 7 terror attacks. Thousands turned out to defend free speech and protest against the bombardment of Gaza.
No one deserves to suffer like that. No country deserves to be destroyed.
Some blamed Israel without mentioning Hamas.
Who's the occupying power? That's it, isn't it? Who's had a siege on the Gaza Strip since 2006?
Others took a more balanced view.
Hamas attacked Israel first, but this does not give Israel the right to bomb the entire Gaza Strip.
The whole world is to blame. They have not found a solution for the Palestinians. The Palestinians live in a tiny area. They have nothing and cannot live like ordinary people.
Previous pro-Palestinian rallies in Germany have seen anti-Semitic chants and ended in violent clashes. This time there was a heavy police presence to discourage any dissent.
While some pro-Palestinian demonstrations have been banned over the last weeks here in Berlin, this demonstration here behind me was allowed by Berlin state officials, but under very clear conditions. No anti-Semitic chants and no anti-Israeli statements, such as denying Israel's right to exist within its internationally recognized borders. There have been some individual cases where these conditions have not been met, but police officials told us that the vast majority did stick to those conditions and that it was mainly a peaceful demonstration.
So these people are censoring themselves around laws, around what is otherwise peaceful expression and legitimate expression, expressing concern about innocent civilian deaths. while acknowledging that this crisis was prompted by an attack from Hamas, and expressing what is, and now it's so scary that we talked to a few journalists who live there, who don't want to come on camera because of the way that they could be punished by the German government. Now, today, I think in a related news, I wanted to bring you the research and words from a Jewish philosopher that was published today. Surprisingly, actually, I was surprised to read this in the Financial Times. This is a Jewish philosopher named Susan Neiman. She talks about, this is a feature on not just her, but her peace advocacy and her writing. She lives in Germany right now. She is Jewish, and she's warning about this reaction from the German government as someone who's lived there and is Jewish. She says, to many Germans, criticism of Israel clashes with the paramount importance of given to remembering the Holocaust. To many Jews today, universalism itself feels hollow when parts of the left have shown little compassion for Jews' own suffering. She says, I'm scared about rising antisemitism, but I don't think the way to solve the problem is to become more anti-Muslim. That is one direction that people are going in, particularly in Germany. It's an overcorrection, right? Now, she is an expert on Albert Einstein. She runs a museum or an archive or something like that there. She talks about what can be learned from Einstein. She says here, he was a total universalist Jew. She says, we do care about his politics and his biography because that's why he became this cultural icon. The second half of his life, he spent more time as a public intellectual than he did working on physics. He became convinced of the need for a Jewish national home, but feared the cost if it came without peace. This is an Einstein quote. Should we be unable to find a way to honest cooperation and honest pacts with the Arabs, then we have learned absolutely nothing from our 2,000 years of suffering and will deserve our fate. Now, she warns about this idea of being either pro-Israel or pro-Palestine. This is something that we speak about a lot, and I'm thrilled to see somebody else saying this in the mainstream media. She says that she wants to reclaim Jewish universalism as a radical act. Would we call her a non-pacifist peace extremist? I would say she gets a shirt. She says people have differently in so many places across the world become so tribalist. I hate the words pro-Israel and pro-Palestinian. They make it look as if we're talking about a football match. I'm pro-peace. To that, I say bravo.
I love that. I was thinking about that today. I was just walking around. And I was just having a private conversation with myself, which I sometimes do. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, and I was thinking about this tribalism. And, you know, they're not sports teams.
Yeah.
You know, are you pro-Ukrainian? Are you pro-Russian? Are you pro-American? Are you pro-Palestinian?
Right.
This is not college football. They're human beings.
Yeah.
And, you know, is it wrong to be pro-peace in this?
Well, and I always use that as an example, too, when I'm talking to people. It's like people are choosing sides like we think that we're ever going to agree on everything, but people can't even agree on sports teams. Like people fist fight over sports teams.
Right.
And so it's like, you know, I just don't understand that kind of thinking.
The term soccer hooligan exists for a reason, right?
Yeah.
Because people get in fights over football teams, soccer, to Americans.
Well,
I kind of wish it was more like a sports team where the people that started the problem just went and fought each other and leave everybody else alone. Because in the sports team analogy, this would be like going to watch an Eagles game and then like the Eagles occasionally just opening fire on large parts of the crowd. Like it's like people that have nothing to do with the actual event itself that are just stuck in there. And it's like that. 'Cause I would just rather the governments be like, you know what? I have a problem with this country. Let's just go fight in a ring. Let's step into the octagon, all of us politicians.
Yeah.
And then the
trial
winner
by
takes
combat.
all.
A duel. Duel.
Right.
Yeah. Instead of innocent people getting caught in the crossfire, which is what these power, and what happens when these money-hungry, power-grubbing elites who rule the world, think about the innocent people in Ukraine or just the innocent soldiers who get grabbed off the streets and are thrown into the meat grinder.
Well, let's revisit what she says here. She mentions Jewish universalism as a radical act because any peace activists are now called radical. We know this from our own work here. Jewish nationalism, Jewish universalism is the opposite of Jewish nationalism. What that means is the notion that all humankind is under equal consideration and love of God, and we affirm that all paths to the divine are holy. It is universally accepted. It also means that the Jewish faith, Jewish events, all things, all consideration, all lives are worth the same, and all people are welcome into any Jewish spaces, cultural observances, or religious practices. She does not think the current Zionist politicians are practicing Jewish universalism. I do not either. Here's what she has to say about that. She says Netanyahu's policies are creating anger and frustration all over the world, and they will rebound on Jews, like the Dagestan airport attack where the anti-Semitic mob stormed the airport. She says the carpet bombing of Gaza is not in Israeli interests, even if you only care about Jewish lives. And I could not said it better myself. And for that, I bought her book. So read it with me if you would like. Her new book is called Left is Not Woke, or something like that. Woke is Not Left. Something to that effect. If you'd like to read it with me, go ahead. But I just wonder, because she is a Jew and she's saying this in Germany, where criticizing Israel is now against the law. So how much longer will she be able to be saying these things?
Well, she's criticizing
while she lives in Berlin. And will they then take the steps of punishing a Jew for violating their anti-Semitic laws?
I mean, but she's criticizing Netanyahu, and she's criticizing the government, the Zionist leaders, the corrupt government. I mean, we criticize the corrupt Biden administration all the time. I love America, but I criticize Biden. I criticize,
Right.
So does it fall under being anti-Israel?
Well, again, when these freedom of speech laws are rolled out, they become a dragnet for the most legitimate, because the things that are illegal are already illegal. But making thought and opinion illegal is not going to counter anti-Semitism.
Well, it's the same way I feel about hate crime. Like, well, what exactly is a hate crime, right?
You don't need the word hate if it's a crime,
right? You've already killed. Like, you killed someone, but it's a hate killing. You killed the person. Like, what's worse than murder? Oh, we're gonna
because you hated that person.
You hated that person. Oh, okay, so now it's worse than murder,
right?
Like, it's a hate. What is a hate crime? What does that even mean?
So let us know if you think that a law making anti-Semitism illegal is going to help anybody. And, how far will the German government take this? Is this, again, a strong knee-jerk reaction to the Holocaust and maybe not the right thing to do? And will it mean that even a peace-loving Jew can be punished for living in Germany and speaking out against the Zionist government?
You have to imagine... Would Albert Einstein have been punished? Like, if
for this, yes, what Albert Einstein just said would not have allowed.
He was, and I don't know. I think he was a smart guy, but he would have been in deep shit. If going back to whatever I think his hometown or one of his places, Ulm, eating that little trout on that little river there, and sitting in that restaurant and eating that trout that he used to love to eat, and talking about politics and talking about Israel, and he would have been locked up. He would have been fined, imprisoned, perhaps, in Germany. Go ahead, Philip.
Yeah, I think that, like, if Germany, they're like getting into physics, but if Germany did arrest her for speaking out, but then that makes their action of arresting her anti-Semitic because she is Jewish, I think that just spirals infinitely, creates a singularity, and it just wipes out our entire galaxy, because we now have a black hole right where our planet should be. Yep, we all just get sucked into it. So there's your physics for it.
She actually has been she's been at the center of a cultural storm around speaking out around Zionism. And she was speaking out against laws in Germany that were boycotting Israel. It's very many double negatives, so I don't want to explain it again. But she already has been accused of being a self-hating Jew for speaking out against Israel, or speaking out against criticizing Israel. This is not new to her. This is someone who's already done this. That's another reason I want to read her book, because she's in it. She's been there.
Thank you so much for watching this segment here at Redacted. We are live every day at 4 p.m. Eastern Time, trying to share the stories that the mainstream media will not cover. You should also come over and join our community of Redacted Rebels over at redacted.inc. That's our private locals community where we can share exclusive content that we simply cannot share here on YouTube. Come over and join the rebellion together right now by going to redacted.inc. We'll see you next time.